Okay, what we've got here is a large pan for our potatoes, which we're going to boil and then we'll eventually mash. We're going to be using baby reds, and I like baby reds a lot, and so I think they have a really nice flavor, and they're a very hearty potato. They hold their consistency really well. Pot here, so we're going to go ahead and fill that. You don't want to fill it too full because when it does start to boil, it'll boil over and it'll get all over your stove. So you want to cover your potatoes. To about there. Okay, that gives you some room. Now, a way that you can prevent from it boiling over is to go ahead and add some vegetable oil. You don't want to use expensive oil because it's not going to do anything for your flavor. So you just use a little bit of a vegetable oil, like so. And what that's going to do is the bubbles that form will be dissolved by the oil. I've got my pot on the stove, I've got it covered, and I've got it on high to boil. This is what we're going to be cooking our ground beef in. Got about a pound of ground beef in here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add some olive oil to it, just a quarter cup of olive oil. Go ahead and start this. We're going to fry this until it's browned. Right now I'm preparing the onions, and I've got 2 small onions here, and aroma tomatoes. You can use whatever tomato you want. This is about as many, or about 2 handfuls is what you're going to be using. Our onion. It doesn't matter that you're using the same cutting board as long as you rinse it. And make sure that you do your onion second from your tomatoes, so that, because your onions are going to be stronger flavor, and you don't want your tomatoes tasting necessarily like onion. Our potatoes are now done. We're going to set those off to the side, let them cool for a minute, and then we'll start adding our sour cream and those other things to to it, which I'll tell you about here in a minute. Okay, what we've got here is we've drained our potatoes. Now we're going to get ready to mash them. You're going to need to add an egg. This is the browning on the potatoes. We're going to go ahead and mix that all up. Back to our ground beef. What we're going to do now is season our beef. Season it to taste, salt and pepper. So you're going to want to make sure that you're tasting your food as you go so that you know what you're putting in. And as you can see, we've drained off the grease, so you want to make sure you do that. Get that all mixed in. We're also going to stir in our tomatoes. At this point, our carrots, which these are canned carrots, so they'll take less time to cook. But if you use fresh raw carrots, you would have to cook this down until those were tender. That would take about 10 minutes. But because this is pre-cooked, it's not going to take that long. Okay, well, this is all warmed up now. Now we're going to go ahead and add some peas to it. You want to add your peas later because after your carrots soften, because your peas are obviously softer than any of it, and those will pretty well disintegrate if you cook them the amount of time that you cook the rest. So add your peas after everything else is tender. And go ahead and mix that in and let it warm up a little bit. You want to go ahead and reduce your heat down to medium-low. You want to stir this frequently so you don't burn anything. Okay, we've got a saucepan here. What we're going to do is we're going to put that on a medium-high. About 1.5 cups of Guinness. There we go. 1 cup of our beef stock. And reduce that just a little. In a separate pan, I've got a tablespoon of butter that I've melted. You want to turn that up to where it's going to sizzle, probably a medium or medium-high. We don't want to burn it, so we're going to add our flour little bit by bit. Okay. And you're going to whisk that in there. And you're going to add your beer. And stock. Whisk all that together. Slowly add your flour. Letting that thicken. Starts to thicken, you're going to want to add About 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce. Too thick, so we'll shut that off. And here's our meat. I'm going to add that too. And you can see we've got a wonderful gravy going on here. Mix all that in. I'm going to go ahead and simmer that on medium for about 5 minutes. Make sure you stir it frequently. You don't want it to burn. At this point, you're going to start add a little bit of your onions to it. If you like more, add more. You don't want a whole bunch, but you want some in there for flavor. I'm going to go ahead and mix that all in. Go ahead and let that simmer a little while. What I have here is a 9 by 13 baking dish. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grease the baking dish with shortening. And this will help it not stick to your potatoes and stuff, not stick to your pan. Doesn't need to be heavily greased, just lightly. And there we go. To be doing here is purely for visual. I've got a disposable frosting bag. Here's my potato mixture right here. And I'm just going to spoon this into my frosting bag. Almost full, like this here. You've got about 3 inches. You're going to want to wad that up like so. Twist it. As you can see, we've finished with our potato. See, we've added a little bit of cheese to the top. You don't want to be heavy-handed with your cheese because you don't want to cover up all of the potato. You want that to be brown, which is kind of the goal, but you can add as much cheese as you want. We also have some parsley to sweeten it a little bit and also add some color. We've got some paprika, kind of do the same, add some color, and you don't want to be heavy-handed with that either. So now it's off to the oven. Okay, it's been in broil on high broil for about 5 minutes, and as you can see, it's golden brown. That cheese is melted. That's what we want. We're going to let it sit for about 5 minutes to kind of let the juices come back together and, to cool off just a little bit, and then it's ready to eat. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel and enjoy. Thank you. Eat better. The aromas are pretty good, and they're a little bit cheaper than some of the others, like the beef cake and all those, or beef steak rather. Okay. That's good. That is really good. Oh my gosh. Yep. Oh. Come back.